Hey guys, and welcome to another BMS Hornet 4.33 video. In this one we'll be discussing the AGM HARM, or High-Speed Anti-Radiation Missile. So you can see we have 4 of them loaded up on the aircraft right now, and I'm going to head over to waypoint 3 where we have an SA3 ready to go, and we have a couple SA2s as well, and then to our right, if you look at the HSD there, you can see 2 SA4s which are mobile. So both of these are static. This is the Fansong Radar, and the SA3 and 2 are static, and then the SA4 is actually mobile. So we'll teach you how to implement those. I'm also going to include in the playlist a couple of old 4.32 F-16 tactics against SAMs, how to defeat a SAM missile launch, and also how to defeat a radar tracking for enemy surface-to-air missile radars. Alright, so hope you guys enjoy, and just bear with me as I approach these next 2 waypoints. And you can see there on the RWR, the RAW, that I'm getting pinged by a SA4, or nails, on our right hand side. Even though we're outside of his lethal engagement zone, he is scanning for us. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is power on the AGM-88, and you just hit the power on button on the SMS page there, and the weapon is for the most part immediately ready. There's not really like a power on time or anything like that. And one thing to keep in mind is that we can only use the HARM as a either in positional mode, which is going to be for pre-briefed targets, or we can also use it as HARM as sensor. And the important thing to remember about the HARM as sensor is that you're actually looking through the seeker head of the weapon. So the HARM has a seeker head on the front of the weapon there, and it's actually detecting radar emissions. If we look down to the HARM as sensor page, we can see that we're picking up radar emissions from that SA3, and that means it's active. And then the SA4 as well. If these turn, I believe it's the same as the HARM attack display or the HAD. The major difference between the F-18 Hornet and the F-16 certain blocks is that you can't actually load a HAD onto the Hornet. So you have to use either HARM as sensor or pre-briefed mode. And I believe it's the same symbology. If it's has a good lock, it's going to turn red. If it's launching, it might flash. It should be the same thing. I'm picking up 2 SA4s there on the right. So we're going to use, for the SA3 there, these are all pre-briefed targets. And again, you remember to target the radar station, not the missile sites themselves. Waypoint 3, I have it pre-designated in the briefing screen as a target. So let's go over to positional, which means we know the position of the target, we know the exact coordinates, and then we're going to ask the HARM to look for an SA3 at that coordinate. And if it doesn't find it, it should still hit that exact coordinate even if the radar isn't emitting. So down at the bottom here, this tells us which waypoint we currently have selected. So I'll change waypoints. You can see there it changes as well. And on the left hand side, this is table 1, and it gives us a list of all the different types of SAMs. Okay, for the most part in the Korea theater, we're only going to be using table 1. And since this is an SA3, we're just going to select that. So there's the SA3. We can see that we're in range. When this box starts flashing, we know that we're in range. We're 48 miles away, so it has some pretty good standoff distance. And then down here it tells us the time till impact, which is 11:27 and 42 seconds if we were to launch right now. And under that it tells us the time of flight of the missile from this point. Alright, so let me talk a little bit about the different submodes for positional. We have EOM, which is equations of motion, RUC, which is range unknown, which is kind of a self-defense type of thing. And then we also have pre-briefed, which is the mode that we're going to be using. And the actual Dash 34 by Red Dog says that the most effective method is EOM, or equations of motions, and there's really no point in using the other modes. And I'm gonna, don't crucify me, because Jesus already was crucified and died for our sins. The EOM mode, according to him, is the best mode, but in my experience, EOM tends to miss a lot on pre-briefed targets, and pre-briefed seems to hit targets accurately. So that's what we're going to be using here. There's a few things that we want to look for. Obviously, let's turn on the jammer. That's going to be our main defense against these things. And I'll show you some symbology on the HUD there. We're 35 miles away, so we're still well outside of the range of the SA3. He doesn't have much of a circle. The way you get these circles is on the pre-brief screen. You add a pre-planned kind of SA2 site or SA3. You can select that, and then you can put that over the battalion, the air defense battalion. So what we're going to do is that lower line and the upper line there, that's where we want our flight path marker to be. And where you see those two arrows meeting right here, that's the optimum launch angle for the weapon. So let's go ahead and launch it. Magnum. And you'll see the weapon climb, or usually it climbs. Oh, there it is, right up there. That's a new 4.33 feature, which adds smoke to the weapons. And we're well outside of his range, but let's go ahead and notch to the left, and we're going to put him on our beam, our 3-9 line, and that's the most effective way to reduce his ability to lock our aircraft, in addition to having the jammer on. Now the jammer only goes forward of the aircraft and to the rear. I think it's about a 60-degree cone in front of the nose and a 120-degree behind it. So the jammer really helps when you're head-to-head with the SAM or with the radar station, or if you're headed away from it. Either way, we're going to use it to mask our entry. Alright, so there we are, notching on him, and he's at our 3-9 line right there. And if we want to, we can actually switch over to the HAS mode, harm as sensor, and we can watch to see what kind of emissions that we're getting. Those SA4s are still on. I think that SA3 actually turned off on me. Oh, there it is. Actually, we're picking it up now, and all of those are scanning. So let's switch over to the weapon view. Actually, I lost the. Looks like the weapon might have impacted. Alright, so let's turn back into it and try to launch again here. Alright, so let's launch again. Magnum on the SA3. And we're going to notch away from it. We have our flashing cue there. Again. Obviously, the closer you are to the station, the better it is, and the more chance of a hit that you're going to get. You can see our missile is headed toward the target there. And that was a miss on the SA3. Let's try another shot here. And I am seeing some smoke from the target area, so we might actually kill them. And one way we can confirm that is just to go air-to-ground mode on the TGP. I'm going to cursor 0. There it is. Yep. We got a direct hit on that. So we might have actually killed them on that first volley. So right where the radar was supposed to be, that's where we're seeing smoke coming from, so we know it's probably a good kill. Alright, let's switch over to the SA2 site. And that's going to be waypoint 4. Obviously, we're going to change this over to SA2. And you can see down there that the 3 disappeared, so we could further confirm that we've killed that target. And let's launch on the SA2 here, using the same procedure. My symbology got messed up down there. I'm not sure why I'm not getting any indications. And let's launch. Magnum. And we'll notch away from him as well. Since we know we've killed that SA3, we can actually move our cursor over to the SA3. Pinky switch to zoom in, and then just TMS down to remove the SA3 threat once we're done with him. Now let's follow the weapon. That thing's supersonic. I'll trim out the aircraft here. Yeah, let's see if we can find the there's a radar site right on the road there. And that's a direct impact on that target. Alright, we'll confirm that with the TGP, and remember to cursor 0 if you have to. And again, we can go over to the harness sensor and see if we see anything. So we can see an SA3 up there and SA2, but those are further away up there to the north. And again, we can come over to our HSD, pinky switch, and remove the SA2 threat, since we can confirm that we've actually killed it. Alright, let's take care of a mobile SA4, and I'll demonstrate that. You can barely see the smoke back there from that SA2 site that we just took out. Getting pinged by the SA3. You can hear that tone there, that chirping. So he's just searching for us. And there's a couple of modes that we can use with the harness sensor. Obviously you can slew this around and you can actually select which target you want. So I'm going to TMS up on this one, and there it has the SA3 locked up. And if you TMS down, you can unselect it. There's a few modes that you can use. Wide is, I believe, 120 degrees for the seeker head. Center is a 60 degree cone, I believe. And then it can either look left, or it can also look to the right. And there's the first SA4. So let's go ahead and lock him up. And I'm assuming he's mobile at this point. If you've never seen him before, this is what the launchers look like. I believe this is an SA2 site, and there's a radar on the left there. And they do move, which is pretty cool. And this is what a radar station looks like. This is actually what we're targeting. So if you can kill the radar station, obviously the missiles can't launch on you, or they're not going to have any type of guidance. And this is what the SA4 radar looks like. So it is mobile, and it can change locations and launch missiles at you. They can have stationary missiles in certain locations. Move the SA4 to that site, and then actually use it to guide. You can see the missile launches there, which I believe are also mobile as well. It moves in a convoy. Alright, so when we get in range here, we're going to engage one of these SA4s. And there's the SA4 that we're picking up on the raw. Alright, so now that we're 35 miles away, you can see right here towards waypoint 7. Just keep in mind you can't pre-designate these as targets because they're mobile. So you can have an idea of where the last known location of the SA4 is, and that's what my waypoint 7 is. You can see right there is waypoint 7, but you can't pre-designate it as a target because it's obviously moving. Okay, so one of the things that we can do is, in addition to using the harness sensor, is go over to ground moving target. Alright, GMT. And that's only going to track moving targets, not stationary. And you can see that we're picking up a little bit of movement there. If you pinky switch, you can see a convoy of vehicles, and we'll go ahead and lock one up. Then we'll move over to the TGP, and we're going to cursor 0 this thing. And potentially that's going to be our target, but let's focus on firing the weapon here first. Alright, so I'm going to fire, get as close as you can to the SA4 without actually getting in his engagement zone. And you know that at 20,000 feet, we're pretty close to him. I'm going to go ahead and try to target him again here. One of the things, I don't think you actually get a flashing cue when you're in range. You just kind of fire it off. So let's get as close as we can to him, and we'll fire it off. And on the left side, that's keep in mind that's actually what our harm is looking at. So it sees an SA4 directly right there, and you know, we can fire it as long as the weapon can see it. Alright, so as we're getting in the engagement zone here, let's go ahead and pickle it off. Magnum. And I'm going to actually notch to the left here.
Caution.
And try to get eyes on with the TGP. That guy's locking us up now. Yeah, let's watch the missile and see what it does. And we just launched. And there's two of these guys, so even if I kill one, let's take a look behind us. There's the missile right back there. And I think it, yeah, it's not tracking. Alright. That was pretty cool. So we killed one of them. There's still an SA4 out there. It's kind of tough to get these guys on the TGP just because, you know, I know that there's a convoy of vehicles down there, but I'm not really sure which one is the actual radar station. We're still in ground moving target mode here, so potentially we'll be able to track something. See if we get any contacts here. And he just launched another missile at us. You can see the smoke trail there. Alright guys, so that's pretty much it for the harm tutorial. Obviously there's a lot of tactics associated with this. There, I see the missile now. So you know, if you're at the very edge of his engagement zone, it's pretty much his maximum range. So you know, if you stay outside of that, even if he launches, his missiles are not going to have enough kinetic energy, more than likely, to actually get a good kill on you. Alright guys, thanks for watching this tutorial, and like I said, I'll include some F-16 tactics from 4.32, which are exactly the same and very much relevant in the Hornet. Same tactics, different aircraft, where it'll teach you about using terrain masking to break radar lock, It'll explain the 3.9 line and all that. This will probably be the last tutorial in this series, in addition to the F-16 videos. And pretty much we've gone through ramp starting the Hornet, through carrier qualifications, all the way up to implementing weapons. So if you've come this far, you should be very proud of yourself. Big thanks again to Red Dog for the Dash 34 and the BMS 4.33 development team for keeping this amazing sim alive. It's probably the best combat environment that you can find in any flight simulator out there. Just nothing comes close to it, and it really is the apex of combat flight simulations. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.